Good morning all. So I am R. Naveen, lecturer in physics. Today I am going to discuss about a small topic in physics, that is vectors. So in our daily life we measure many things, like we measure mass of an object like ball or sugar, and for example we measure the length of a pencil, so like that. So in these examples where we measure mass and lengths, so these are called quantities that which can be measured. Okay, so we can measure the mass of any object and we can express in some quantity, some units, like 2 kgs of sugar, 3 kgs of rice, like that. And for example length also, we can measure the length of anything, like if we 3 centimeters or 5 centimeters length of pencil, like that. So in these two examples we are measuring the mass of an object or length of an object. So these quantities which can be measured physically, right? So the quantities which can be measured physically and which can be expressed in a number units, that is quantity in number units, are called physical quantities. So we can define physical quantities which can be measured, the quantity as which can be measured. So what is the definition can be given as: the quantity which is measurable is called physical quantity. For example, mass, force, length, displacement, velocity. So all these quantities can be measured. We can measure the mass of anything and we can measure the force by some measuring devices. So the applied force can be measured. And length, the length of any object can be measured by scale or tape or some other measuring devices. And we can also measure the velocity of an object, the velocity of an object. Okay, we can measure the velocity of a car or velocity of a man while walking, like that. Okay, but some quantities, some which cannot be measured and cannot be expressed in number units, like happiness, sadness, pain. So these are, we are feeling very happy or less happy, like that, but they cannot be measured exactly. So these cannot be considered as physical quantities. So the physical quantities which are physical quantities which can be measured physically, those quantities are only the physical quantities, and we have given the some examples, we have given some examples also for those things, right? So in these examples let us take one of these, for example velocity. So let us consider a car moving with some velocity on the road, on a road. So by looking at the car we can ask two questions: what is or how much the velocity of that car, or what is the velocity of that car. By observing or by reading, by looking at the meter, reading odometer, we can answer that the car is moving with a velocity of 50 meters per second or 60 kilometers per hour, like that. So this number is called magnitude of the physical quantity. In this example the magnitude of velocity is 50 meters per second. So this is the first question I asked. What is that? What is the velocity, or how much the velocity of that? How much is the velocity of that car? The answer is 50 meters per second. And now the second question is, in which direction the velocity is, or the in which direction the car is moving. So we can show the direction of the velocity, or the direction in which the car is moving also we can show, right? So let us take second one, for example mass. So there is a object, or for example sugar. So we are by observing that we can say, or we can ask one question: what is the mass of that sugar, or how much is that sugar. So we can answer that by weighing that 2 kgs of mass, 2 kg of mass. And if I ask the second question now, the second question is, in which direction the mass is. Can we answer? No. So this is an invalid question. What is this? What is the direction of that mass? There is no answer, and this is an invalid question in this case. But in velocity, in case of velocity, in which direction is valid question. In the second case, second example, in which direction is an invalid question. So from these two examples we can conclude that the physical quantities, in physical quantities, some physical quantities possess magnitude and also direction, and some physical quantities possess only magnitude but not direction. They do not possess direction. So by this we can classify physical quantities into two types. For one type, in one type of physical quantities possess both magnitude and direction, and second type of physical quantities possess only magnitude but they do not possess direction. So based on this, the two physical quantities are classified into two types. They are vector quantities and scalar quantities. So let us distinguish between these two types of physical quantities. First, I have written the side by side. First one, look at the vector quantities. So vector quantities possess magnitude, and also possess direction. In scalar quantities, look at that. The scalar quantities possess magnitude but they do not possess direction. And third one, so this is the main and one important difference between these two. Like, so we can, in scalar quantities can be added directly. That means there is two bags of sugar, one is of 3 kgs and one is of 2 kgs. By adding those two sugar bags, what is the total mass of the sugar? 5 kgs. That means we have added directly the magnitudes of those scalar quantities, 3 kgs and 2 kgs. Directly we added, the resultant is 5 kgs. Okay, we can directly add the scalar quantities. But in case of vector quantities, we do not sum vector quantities directly. For example, there is an object, a force 5 Newton is acting on that object, and another force of 3 Newton acting on the same object in different direction. So we have to consider directions also here, because vector quantities possess directions also. So two forces of 5 Newton and 3 Newton acting on the same object in different directions. So now what is the resultant force or net force acting on the body? If we say the net force is 8 newtons, it may be wrong, because while adding two vectors, we cannot add the magnitudes of vectors directly. We have to consider the directions of the vectors also. So depending upon the angle between two forces, or depending upon the angle between two vectors, the resultant magnitude of the resultant vector changes. So if the two forces acting in same direction, the resultant force is 5 plus 3, 8 Newton. If the two forces acting in opposite direction, the resultant force is 5 minus 3, 2 Newton. If the two forces acting in some other direction, the resultant force varies. So that's why the addition of vectors depends upon the angle between the two vectors also. So we cannot sum up the two vectors directly like scalar. So this type of summation or adding these two vectors are called vector addition. So it has some laws. So vectors should be added by following the laws of vector addition. So look at those two vector definitions or points. So what is vector quantity means? It possesses magnitude, it possesses direction, and it follows laws of vector addition. But for scalar quantities, it possesses magnitude, it doesn't possess direction, and they can be added directly or directly. So these are the major differences. So by we can conclude the definitions. We can give the definitions for vector and scalar quantities like this. So vector quantity can be defined as the physical quantity which possesses both magnitude and direction and which follows laws of vector addition is called vector quantity. It should possess magnitude, direction, and it should follow the laws of vector addition. Then only it can be considered as vector. But for scalar quantity we can define it as the physical quantity which possesses only magnitude but not direction. So it possesses only magnitude. There is no laws of vector addition and no magnitude. So this is scalar quantity. So some examples for vectors are displacement, force, velocity, acceleration, momentum, angular momentum, torque, like this. These are some of the examples for vector quantities. And some examples for scalar quantity are distance, mass, temperature, energy, speed, electric current, power. These some of the examples for scalar quantity. So we can speed and velocity both are different. Speed is a scalar quantity, velocity is a vector quantity. Distance and displacement, these are different. Distance is scalar quantity, displacement is vector quantity. So we will discuss later about these, right? So in this chapter we will discuss about vectors only, not about scalars. There is nothing much about scalars for this. So a vector can be represented by a bar on the letter. So for example, A is a vector, so it can be represented by a bar. While writing or in textbooks, a vector is represented with bar, a bar. Look at that, a bar. And while drawing or graphically, vector can be represented by an arrow mark. So look at that arrow mark, that the vector can be represented by an arrow mark. So by observe the arrow mark, the starting point of the vector is called initial point or starting point, and the end point at where the arrow mark is presented is called final point or terminal point. So this is the graphical representation of the vector. In this, while representing graphically, in graphical representation, the length of the arrow mark the length of the arrow mark represents the magnitude of the vector. That means the length is more, the magnitude of the vector is also more, like that. And the direction of the arrow represents the direction of the vector. So like this we can represent the vector graphically. And there are many types of vector, several types of vector. For example, these are the types of vectors. So first one, a proper vector. Proper vector is nothing but actual vector. That means, what is the definition of vector? Vector, a physical quantity which possesses both magnitude and direction. Okay, so that in proper vector, some vectors possess magnitude as 0 magnitude. They are not proper vectors. Proper vector means it should possess the magnitude which is not equal to 0. That is proper vector. Okay, it possesses direction and magnitude which is not equal to 0. That is called proper vector. And next one, null vector. Null means, we know the meaning of null, nothing. That means 0. So what is 0 here? The magnitude of the vector. If the magnitude of the vector is equal to 0, then that vector is called null vector. For example, a vector A bar, consider a vector AB bar. So the initial point is A and final point or terminal point is B. If A and B are both are coincide, both A coincides with B, then what happens? Initial point and final points are same. That means it has no length. That vector has no length. That means that vector has no magnitude. So that's why that type of vectors, in this case AB bar is a null vector. So that means the magnitude of null vector is 0 and the direction of that vector is indeterminate. So there is no magnitude. That means A and B are coincide. If the A and B are coincide with each other, then what is the direction? We cannot determine, we cannot say. So the direction of the null vector is indeterminate. Okay, magnitude is 0 and direction is indeterminate. Example, position vector of the origin. So we will discuss the position vector, about position vector later. That will be clear then. So example for null vector is position vector of origin. Where is the origin? What is the position of the origin with respect to origin? Origin is coincides with origin only. So there is no position vector which indicates the position of origin. That means it is null vector. And next type is like vector. Like means similar. Okay, if let us consider two vectors A bar and B bar. If they have same equal magnitude or not different magnitudes, but if the direction of those two vectors is same, then those two vectors are called like vectors. In this example, A bar and B bar are two vectors which has same directions, therefore they are called like vectors. and second example, A bar and B bars are two different vectors which has different directions. The direction of A bar is different from direction of B bar. So these two vectors are called unlike vectors. Okay, like vectors and unlike vectors. And next one, co-initial vectors. What is the initial? That means initial points. Co-initial points means same initial points. So if the vectors, if some two or more vectors possess same initial point, then they are called co-initial vectors. In this example, vector A bar and B bar, these two vectors are started at same initial point, same starting point, then that's why A bar and B bar are called co-initial vectors. Right. Next one, coplanar vectors. Plane, we know the plane means sheet or like that, or plane. Coplanar means same plane. So if two or more vectors, three or more vectors lies in same plane, then those vectors are called coplanar vectors. So look at the examples, A bar, B bar and C bar. These three vectors lies on the same plane, that means screen. They lie on the same plane, same that screen plane of the screen. So these three vectors are called coplanar vectors. Okay. And next one, if two vectors lies on same line, they travel along the same line, then those two vectors are called collinear vectors. For example, in this example, A bar and B bar are two different vectors traveling in the line, lies on same line, along the same line, travels on along the same line. So these two vectors are called collinear vectors. And next one, equal vectors. What is equal means? They should be equal in all aspects. That means what is the vector? Vector possesses magnitude, it possesses direction. Okay, so if two vectors possess same magnitude and they are in same direction, two or more, not only two or more vectors possess same magnitude and they are in same direction, then those vectors are called equal vectors. In this example, A bar and B bar both are in same direction and they possess the same length. The arrows are with same length. That means the magnitude of those two vectors is equal. So a bar and b bar are equal vectors. Then we can write a bar equal to b bar. And next one is negative of a vector. What is negative? Means opposite. Okay, so opposite means in opposite direction. So if consider two vectors a bar and b bar, a bar is in right direction, b bar is in left direction. So that the directions of the a bar and b bar are exactly opposite and the magnitudes are equal. So if the magnitudes of two vectors are equal and they are in opposite direction, then a first vector is called the negative of second vector. In this, a bar is the negative of b bar or b bar is the negative vector of a bar. So we can write a bar equal to minus b bar or b bar equal to minus a bar. Is it clear? Right. And most important one is unit vector. So by the name unit, what is unit? 1. What is 1 here? The magnitude of the vector is equal to 1 unit. If the magnitude of vector is 1 unit, then that vector is called unit vector. So unit vectors are very important. They have very important for vectors concept. So unit vector represents the directions. They do not have any units, but they can specific direction. They represent the specific directions. Okay. So suppose let us consider a vector a bar in an arbitrary direction, any arbitrary direction. So in that direction of a bar, we can write any a unit vector a cap. Unit vector is indicated by a cap on the letter a. The vector is a bar and the unit vector along that a bar is small a cap. Cap indicates the unit vector. Okay, so this unit vector a cap along the vector a bar can be written as a cap is equal to a bar by mod a bar, where mod a bar is magnitude of the vector a bar. So if a vector a bar, if the vector a bar is divided by its magnitude, then the resultant we can get the another vector which has the magnitude 1. So it is called unit vector and it is represented by a cap. So if we want a unit vector along b bar, then it can be represented by b cap, small b cap, and it can be determined by the formula b bar by mod b bar. B cap equal to b bar by mod b bar. So mod means magnitude. So finding the magnitude of a vector, it is also easy. We will discuss it later. So dividing a vector with its magnitude gives the unit vector along that vector. Okay, so similarly unit vectors in a coordinate system, we have 3 different directions, that is x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So the direction which is along the x-axis is indicated by I cap. I cap is a unit vector along the x-axis which represents the x direction, and j cap is a unit vector which represents the direction of y direction, and k cap is a unit vector which represents the direction of z axis. So I cap, j cap and k cap are the unit vectors along the coordinate axis x, y, z. I represents x direction, j represents y direction, k cap represents z direction. So these are the unit vectors along the x, y, z axis. look at that picture. I cap is along the x axis, j cap is along y axis, k cap is along z axis. So I cap means this direction, we are going along the x axis. J cap means along the y direction, y axis. K cap means along the z direction. And last one, position vector. So position, the meaning, what is the meaning of position? Location of an object with respect to a reference point. So like this, by name, the position vector represents the position or location of a point with respect to origin in a coordinate system, in a Cartesian system, right? So position vector tells about the position of a point in the 3-dimensional or 2-dimensional Cartesian system with respect to origin. From the origin, with respect to origin, the location of the point can be represented by the position vector. For example, look at that 2-dimensional coordinate system, x and y. So x is x-axis, y-axis, and O is the origin, and A is the point with coordinates x and y. So OA bar is the position vector of the A with respect to O, with respect to O. So OA bar can be written as coordinates small x and small y. So OA bar can be written as small x I cap, small y j cap, where I is the direction of x, j is the direction of y. So if we move x units from the origin along the x axis or along the I, and then small y units from along the y axis, then we reach the point A. This is the meaning of position vector. Okay. And next one, so we can at the beginning, laws of vectors follows the laws of vector addition, and vectors cannot be added directly. We have gone through this point. Yes. So let us discuss about the summing or adding the vectors graphically. Now let us start graphically. After that we can discuss in detail. Okay. So let us add vector graphically. In first example, two vectors were there, A bar and B bar. So the resultant vector, after adding these two vectors, the resultant vector is A bar plus B bar. Okay. So how can we add these two vectors? See, first we have to draw any of the two vectors as it is. So I have drawn A bar. Initially I have drawn A bar, and from that A bar's terminal point, end point, second vector is drawn in the same direction and with the same magnitude. B bar is drawn from the end point of the A bar in same direction and with same magnitude. So A bar and B bar are drawn, they are joined at the end point of the A bar. Starting point of the B bar is at the end point of the A bar. Now there are two terminals which are incomplete, that is the starting point of the A and terminal point of the B. If we join these 2 points, we get third vector, that is the resultant of those two A bar and B bar vectors, that is A bar plus B bar. So starting point of the A bar and terminal point, end point of the B bar are joined by another vector, that is the third vector is the resultant of those two vectors, A bar plus B bar. In second example, we have three vectors, A bar, B bar and C bar. So these three vectors are, if we add these two vectors, A bar, B bar and C bar, we get another resultant vector, that is A bar plus B bar plus C bar. So as we did earlier, the same process can be followed. First we have to draw the A bar as it is with same length and same direction, and next from the end point of the A bar we should start the B bar with same length and same direction. So the starting point of the B bar should coincide with the end point of the A bar. After that we have to draw the C bar. So C bar should be started at the terminal point or end point of the B bar. That means the starting point of C bar is coincide with the end point of the B bar. Like this, A bar, B bar and C bar are joined. Now the starting point of A bar and end point of the B bar are kept free. They are free now. The only 2 points which are free are starting point of A bar and end point of the B bar. If we join these 2 points, what are they? Starting point of A bar and end point of the C bar, and fourth vector is drawn. That fourth vector is the resultant of those 3 vectors, that is A bar plus B bar plus C bar. Okay, so this is the basic concepts about vectors. In this class we have discussed about what is a physical quantity, what are vectors and scalars, and types of vectors, and graphical addition of vectors. So let us the remaining topics will be discussed in next class. Thank you.